a few more members trickle in. The main goal of today is to review applications for gap funding. And because there is action related to that, quorum is a must. So I'm hoping that we get everyone who said that they were available to be able to join. Okay, but regardless, welcome. You're in the right place for the Restorative Justice Grant Advisory Committee meeting. As I mentioned, today's goal is application review for gap funding requests, and then some discussion and input from you all, hopefully, about the remaining funding. Today is June 7th. This is a reminder that this is a public meeting and it will be recorded. The chat feature has been turned off so that we capture all discussion as part of this recorded meeting. My name is Casey Beck. I am the Behavioral Health Program Manager at the Criminal Justice Commission, and I will provide you all with a quick preview of today's anticipated meeting schedule. I think that I'm going to wait on roll until Kathleen is able to rejoin. And I just saw Elaine is here. Hi, Elaine. So I'm going to wait on roll for just one moment. So other than that, I'm going to provide everyone with a quick overview of the roles and responsibilities of the Grant Advisory Committee so that everyone's on the same page as we go into the review of the gap funding applications. We're going to also have a moment for public comment just after this anticipated meeting schedule, actually. So realizing that a little bit out of order, apologies. And then we will review and hopefully approve some restorative justice gap funding requests, and then talk about next steps and remaining funding. So let's go ahead and pause for that public comment. If there's any member of the public, that wishes to speak today, please feel free to do so now. You can use the raise hand feature or just unmute yourself on the team. But please keep comments relatively short. We are working with a very tight meeting schedule due to quorum limitations. But I invite you to speak now, should you choose to do so. Deltra. Oh, I'm not able to hear you, Deltra. I see that you're off mute, but cannot hear you. I'm still having trouble with audio. Maybe it's just me. Can anyone else hear Deltra? Okay. Sorry, Deltra, still can't hear you. Maybe we'll try to reconnect. Sorry to have everything out of order today, folks. I appreciate your flexibility, but Avery, why don't we go ahead and call for roll? If you don't mind, we can kind of see where we're at.
Yeah, that sounds great. Tristan Edwards. Here. Aaron Knott. Shannon Wilson. Harry Naughton. Vanessa Timmons. I know she mentioned she was in the car. We'll come back to Vanessa. Ashley Beatty. Simon Fulford. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, can you hear me? Simon is here.
Awesome, sorry. Thank you. Elaine Walters. Okay, I see a thumbs up. Jimena Ospina Todd. Michael Kaiser. Kathleen Meehan Coop.
Here.
And let's go back to Vanessa Timmons. I see she's on, so I'm not sure what to do about that.
Yeah, Vanessa did note that she was present and would be in the car. It's possible she's having trouble getting off mute, but I think we can see that she's here. She noted that she was here earlier.
Okay, so we have 5, and we need 7 for quorum.
Okay. Let's see. Avery, do you mind kind of popping off to do some reach out to the 2 individuals who said they would be able to attend, see if we can get them to join, and I will go ahead and march through roles and responsibilities, and hopefully we can have them join before review. Otherwise, I think we'll need to adapt to a plan B. Thank you. Okay. So, let's see. I don't think Deltra was able to rejoin. So we will move forward and talk about some overview here. The Restorative Justice Grant was established by House Bill 2204 back in the year 2021. The definition of restorative justice is here for you all, but because time is tight, we will go ahead and move along. There was a total of $4 million appropriated to be used as grant awards for eligible public and private entities seeking to launch new restorative justice programs or expand capacity at existing programs. And recently, in the legislative session of 2024, House Bill 5204 appropriated an additional $4 million to the Restorative Justice Grant for use in the 2023-2025 biennium. Because that money needs to be out the door by June 30th, 2025, that project period is looking like July 1st of this year, 2020-24, for 12 months through June 30th of 2025. And it is possible the CJC can permit 1 quarter or 3 months of like a no-cost extension through September 30th of 2025 to grantees who may need that additional time to spend down funds. The Grant Advisory Committee met in April and allocated up to $3 million to prioritize efforts for existing programs to maintain their current operations, including bringing programs into full pilot or full operational. And they allocated at least $1 million to open either 6 or 9 month planning grant opportunities for new applicants. On the docket today really is to review the gap funding applications as received from those existing grantees and to make award decisions, as well as to discuss remaining funding for planning grants and possible supplemental funding and provide any feedback that this grant advisory committee would want the commission to consider. We do have a new member of the Grant Advisory Committee. Kathleen, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a quick introduction if you don't mind. But yeah, welcome Kathleen Meehan-Coop. Kathleen, do you mind hopping off mute to say who you are, where you're from, and also what brought you to restorative justice world?
Great. As said, my name is Kathleen Meehan-Coop. I work with the Deschutes County District Attorney's Office, and I actually currently oversee the implementation of our Emerging Adult Program, which is our restorative justice grant here at the at our DA's office. Ours is a kind of a collaborative project that it involves both the DA's office and community partners. I came into the restorative justice world through taking on this role at the DA's office and doing a number of different diversion programs for our office. And my understanding is I'm representing the district attorney's offices as my role on this panel this time. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so glad to have you here, Kathleen. Welcome. Kathleen's position on the GRC is the designee for representative of the Oregon District Attorneys Association. And we're so happy to have you a part of this group. And thank you for being here today. I'm going to continue on discussing roles, not only for Kathleen's benefit as a new member, but kind of just a refresher for Grant Advisory Committee members as we go into, hopefully, review of applications. Right now, unfortunately, we are still at 5 members of a required 7 to achieve quorum. So we will try to be mindful of time and come up with some plans. But in the meantime, when it comes to reviewing applications for the Restorative Justice Grant, there's kind of 3 groups that are involved. CJC staff, which is my lovely team of folks, here at the commission. We review those applications for completeness. We assess them for adherence to program rules and priorities. And our job is to ensure that the Grant Advisory Committee, as well as the Commission, apply program rules consistently across all grant programs. And then there are the members of the Grant Advisory Committee. Your role is to evaluate the applications, discuss them collaboratively, bringing all the facets of your expertise from your different fields and your experience with restorative justice to those discussions, and then to approve which applications are then, move forward to the commission for funding authorization. It's a formal recommendation for funding is what the Grant Advisory Committee, their role in kind of this approval. And then the commission has that final blessing, really, in terms of making the ultimate funding decisions and authorization of those recommendations from the Grant Advisory Committee. And, they would also have discretion to, deny funding or send it back to the Grant Advisory Committee for further input, feedback, discussion, etc. But those are kind of the main roles. And then I wanted to provide a quick note on conflicts, especially, as it comes to making these recommendations for funding approval. So Grant Advisory Committee members basically serve as public officials, and public officials have ethical responsibilities because they influence the operations of state government. And there are 2 types of conflicts, actual or potential conflicts. Those occur when a public official participates in an action which would or could result in a financial benefit or loss to that individual or that individual's relatives or business. So it's a pretty direct conflict. And it's, for instance, if I was receiving compensation from a program and I, therefore could not participate in discussion or approval of that program, because that would be a conflict of interest. So committee members who would or could potentially benefit from an award made to an application have either disclosed that relationship to staff ahead of time or can do so, during the public meeting or some combination of those. And then after disclosing that conflict, they will not participate in deliberations on an application or a vote to approve or not approve for an award. From Grant Advisory Committee members, are there any questions on that at this time? And, should I have a moment for each individual to, abstain from voting to disclose conflicts before each vote? So just know that that exists and you will, be prompted to remember. Elaine.
Do you want to know now if we have a conflict, or do you want to just know then?
Knowing then is fine.
Okay. All right. But you said you wanted us to abstain from discussion as well as voting. So, okay. I'll just say I won't be participating in conflict artistry's conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elaine. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say, Simon, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I want to just be, I guess, double sure. Some of us may be on the boards of nonprofits that either, like, I guess maybe, maybe, and so like I'm on the board of the Restorative Justice Coalition of Oregon. It's not a for-profit business. Board members are unpaid with volunteers. Some of the budget grant applications have listed RJCO, for providing technical support. I don't think that's a conflict, is my thought, but I guess I want to double check that.
Yeah,
I'm not
thanks,
getting any
Simon.
remuneration from RJCO, I can tell you that.
No, thank you for that clarification. Because the conflicts are really focused on that financial benefit or loss to the individual
Yeah.
themselves. As long as you or your direct relatives or any for-profit business is not receiving that direct financial benefit or loss, you shouldn't have an actual conflict. Should you be more comfortable in abstaining, you're welcome to do so.
Right.
But doesn't appear that there would be an actual conflict there.
Okay.
Okay, now I need one more clarification.
Of course, Elaine.
So I wouldn't personally benefit, but I'll just be really clear. They are looking at potentially renting space in our building. And I mean, that's it. That's the conflict right there. And so we would be sharing space with them, and it would reduce our rent for them to do so. So it just feels a little.
Yeah, I would say, lean into that gut feeling, and should you
Okay.
continue to choose to abstain, that's okay. The abstentions do not affect quorum, so it's not
Okay.
like we'd be down a person for the vote.
Okay. All right.
And
Thank
it's
you.
up to each committee member's discretion.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I'm glad we had this refresher. All right. We are still short on quorum. As an update, we are reaching out to members who said that they would be present today to try to get them to connect. But thank you all members who are here right now. I've got a couple more slides on general application process before hopping into discussion. And I hope that we have some more people join. So in terms of application process, this timeline I wanted to share with you all so you could visually orient yourselves. But the Grant Advisory Committee met on April 22nd to really discuss this new allocation of money, the $4 million in the 2024 session, and make some decisions about what they would want to allocate that money towards. And what's not on this timeline is that we also presented that to the commission in the form of an update to let them know what this Grant Advisory Committee had recommended as a path forward, with promise that we would also come back later in June with further updates and discussion and action for the commission on that process, the results of that process, excuse me. So we opened up a short form application to existing grantees only. That was on May 8th, and it was open for a super speedy window of 14 days, closing on May 22nd, which is the day that the CJC staff review began. We then were able to get the material sent out to the Grant Advisory Committee members for review on May 28th. And then today, June 7th, is hopefully when this Grant Advisory Committee will be meeting to discuss those applications and make their award recommendations for the commission to later authorize at the currently scheduled meeting for June 26th. In gray in the bottom right, you'll notice just a marker for the current project period end date for the majority of programs. That is the reason that the Grant Advisory Committee requested such a speedy process, is to hopefully continue funding these programs past that date. And that is the reason that this is happening all so quickly. So for the members who are here, we so appreciate you being here and taking the time to review the applications and weigh in on them. We are, really hoping to meet obligations with the commission authorization requirement so that we can give those grantees an idea of where their programs exist funding-wise on July 1st of this year. In terms of process, we asked grantees to fill out like a relatively straightforward and short application form. As you saw on the timeline on the previous slide, it's been a really speedy turnaround to ensure that continued support of existing programs. And the gap funding applications are really created to be as simple and as streamlined as possible for grantees and the grant advisory committee member reviewers and CJC staff alike. So as part of their applications, we asked grantees to indicate, like, first, whether or not they were interested in extending their project period for an additional 12 months through June 30th, 2025. Some of the grantees, specifically the Deschutes County Emerging Adult Program, had a project period extension through December 31st of 2024. So that would be extending theirs just 6 months to that June 30th date of 2025. We secondly asked grantees to really consider any unspent funds that would carry into this gap year and to deduct those carryover amounts from their gap funding request. So if they anticipated they needed, $100,000 for that year of gap funding, but they knew that there would be $20,000 of carryover funding that they hadn't quite spent from this most recent, cycle, their request would be adjusted to be a total of $80,000. If that math makes sense, you're deducting your carryover amount from your projected budget request, so that people aren't taking more than what they could feasibly need or spend in that short 12-month period. Then lastly, we asked them to upload a detailed budget sheet, really identifying which aspects of their program this particular gap funding would support. And for each line item identified, we asked grantees to indicate if it was existing already, so previously approved by the Grant Advisory Committee as part of a previous application, amendment request, etc., or if it was a new item. And we also noted that any of the funding requests for expansion of programming, like a significant build in capacity, changing scope, anything to that effect, would be flagged for the Grant Advisory Committee to take note of. And then CJC staff conducted, a thorough review of those budgets, did outreach where needed to clarify. And then on the next slide, I'll show where those came in. We also flagged whether they would be requesting to just maintain their current operations, if they were, in the process of converting to an operational form of their grant. Perhaps they were in a planning phase and now they're, fully going to be piloting or operational, or if they were really, expanding or changing their programs. The next part of review would be then for the Grant Advisory Committee to just consider those newly requested line items to make sure that it just meets the program's goals and the restorative justice grant spirit. That is kind of the role here today. We really trusted the grantees in this process to identify their needs and to really just ask for what they truly required to get through that June 30th date. Let's see, I saw we had someone join. Avery or Lindsay, could you give me a verbal quorum amount?
Yes, we are at 6.
Okay, we are one short. Still hopeful. So in overview requests, as you may recall, there was up to $3 million allocated for this gap funding for existing grantees. And in fantastic fashion, the grantees actually came in below that total amount, which is very rare in grant world. So we were very excited about that at CJC. All 7 grantees requested an extension of their project period. So everyone is interested in continuing their projects for an additional, up to 12 months through that June 30th of 2025. everyone requested some additional funding, and 2 programs requested to convert from kind of a planning grant or a planning phase to that fully operational phase. And 2 programs kind of requested expansion or like, a significant added capacity to their existing operations. And then the remaining programs kept their requests to, just maintaining their existing operations with maybe a few new line items or small capacity builds to support those operations.
I like.
Yeah, sorry, Elaine.
Are you able to say which programs were doing planning to operational, which said request expansion, and which were maintaining?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, on the summary slide for each grantee, that is exactly something that we go over.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm
so sorry, I missed that. Hello? Was someone saying something? Okay. Yes, so to answer your question, Simon, the summary slides would show, their total request amount, whether that was going to be maintenance, the conversion to, an operational grant,
Yeah.
or, expansion requests. We've flagged those for you.
Thank you.
But the best news here is that coming in, just under 2.7 million, there is plenty of funding to honor, all the requests should the grant advisory committee see fit. Unfortunately, we are still not at quorum, and these decisions require 7 members to be present. So I
thought I just heard somebody else come in and say, "I'm here, I got in." Is there possibly a 7th person here now?
Yeah, we can ask Lindsay and Avery to do a quick quorum check.
I'm still just seeing 6. There are 2 other members who indicated they would be here, and I sent them an email and given them a phone call, but I have not heard back yet.
Okay. Thank you, Avery, for doing that.
You're welcome.
Are you counting me? This is Shannon Wilson. And I don't know if you're counting me.
Yes, we got you in the count. Thank you
Okay.
so much for joining,
Okay,
Shannon.
Yeah, thank you. I apologize for being late.
No worries.
I know that what's especially tricky about this particular quorum is that we had at least 1 member who needed to depart at 2 o'clock. So we are also going to be losing a member. I would be curious to hear from the grant advisory committee members who are present today, what you wish to do. If anyone has ideas or, wants to speak to whether to wait or to reschedule.
Is there any way we can do any of this in pieces? Can we discuss and not vote? Can we get some of the work done and then weigh in, in a 15-minute block somewhere else? And I mean, what it leaves out is that last person, whoever that becomes, being in on the discussion.
Yeah, my only concern with that is, for the benefit of, whatever member would join later, there would need to be another review. So it would be more time, but yeah, sorry, Tristan, go ahead.
This is a Hail Mary. What does it take to bring on a grant review committee member? We have a ton of people on this call who know a lot about restorative justice.
Yeah.
Do they have to be official now? Yeah.
How do we make them official? Can we do it in 5 minutes?
I don't believe we are able to do that.
Another and related question is, yeah, I mean, how many people are allowed to be on the grant review committee? Because obviously, if we had, well, I guess if we have more people, then that requires a bigger quorum as well. So that doesn't really solve that problem, does it? Okay, I'm out of ideas.
Are there
No,
people
I
who are on
appreciate
the
you,
list
Wayne.
that shouldn't?
This is Vanessa. I think it sounds like rescheduling is our only option. Is that accurate?
Yes, I would say you have two options, Vanessa. One, we can call it and reschedule with the hopes that we're able to achieve quorum at another date before June 26th, when the commission is set to review your recommendations. The problem is, I know CJC staff had a heck of a time trying to get this meeting on the books because the summer's very complicated for, like Tristan said, so many members availability to line up for just an hour of time is very, very difficult.
We could do something together now, though, with this group that's here. If we found two, like an A and a B plan that works for all 6 of us, then we would have at least us, and then we could see who could pick one or the other of them.
Yeah. That would expedite finding a couple dates, at least couple date options.
Yeah, I'm not sure in terms of public meeting law. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm not sure about public meeting law if like a tentative decision could be made for a party to later agree with to add to that decision. And
You
Ryan,
mean even in setting a meeting time options? Could we come up with 1 or 2 or 3 options of meeting times?
Elaine, I'm sorry, I did not understand correctly.
Yeah. Meeting time options that work for all of us, that then our folks that can't be here today could pick from, so that we could all just hang on to those spots in our calendars.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you
That's a good
for
idea.
reiterating that. I was on a different doomsday spiral, so I appreciate you bringing me back to center.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely something we can go for. And if everyone feels comfortable, I mean, the meeting is scheduled until 3 o'clock, but maybe by the time we get through this discussion, if everyone can hang on till 2, maybe through, like Tristan said, a Hail Mary, maybe someone joins right before 2 o'clock and we're able to kick this going. But yeah, let's sorry, Simon, go ahead.
It's all right. I'm happy to hang on till 2, even if it's just with this in the background and we're not talking, but it's just to have a quote live meeting. I like Elaine's idea if we can at least use this time to get a couple dates and times that we could all hold, and then you chase up the people that aren't here. I have to say, if someone hasn't shown up 35 minutes into a meeting, I doubt they're coming. They've just lost the time in their schedule for whatever reasons.
Sounds great. All right, let me get some calendars open here.
Yeah, maybe you start with when you're available as staff, and then we can go from there.
Sounds great.
Casey, I don't want to do your doomsday spiral, but for public meetings, you have to have a certain amount of time in advance to announce it.
Ideally, there are emergency clauses,
Okay.
so it exists.
Emergency has been issued by executive order of the governor.
It would, and I will tell you that just for me, I don't know if next week is possible for all of you, but I'm on the coast. I could join by Zoom and send my family packing, but if it's not till the next week, that wouldn't hurt me.
Well, another, good piece of news is that I really think we could get it done in an hour, a single hour. For the benefit of today, we did have to go over conflicts and everything, it's been a while since you guys have made decisions in this capacity. So now you have that. This will be recorded. It's going to be shared with all grant advisory committee members. We can make a requirement to watch this before the next meeting. So I think what we'll be doing is looking for just 1 hour to get folks together. Let's see. So we could look into Okay, so with I would say the very unlikelihood of getting folks together next week, why don't we look ahead at the week of the 17th, recognizing that Juneteenth is a holiday. So apart from Wednesday the 19th, I am seeing Monday the 17th is entirely clear for me to run a meeting. Does anyone have any availability on Monday the 17th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm free all day until 1 p.m. and then I'm also free after 2:30 onwards.
I am also free in the morning before 1 p.m. and I could do 4 to 5 if it's just an hour.
Okay.
I'm free until 11:30 on Monday morning.
Kathleen, thank you.
I should probably 11:45. I could probably squeeze out and get to my next meeting.
Okay, let's kind of focus in on this morning. So let's say prior to 11. Elaine, where are you at?
I'm texting somebody about a surgery that is happening Monday, so I'm just trying to, but I can give you that shortly.
Vanessa, Shannon, Monday the 17th before 11. What's your availabilities look like?
I'm not available on the 17th. I have
Okay.
back-to-back meetings and appointments all day, but I am available. I have a lot of availability on the 18th and the 20th.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was talking, but I was not, I was muted. This is Vanessa. I have available from 10 to 11:30 on the 17th.
Okay.
I think we should probably hold that.
Yeah, so let's do a hold on everyone's calendar, except for Shannon, who's unavailable, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Monday the 17th.
Okay.
And then, for Shannon's benefit here, let me also look into the 18th and 20th. So give me 1 second. Okay, the 18th is also looking very clear for hosting a meeting. I'll kick it back to you all for Tuesday the 18th. Let's try to focus on maybe a half the day that works best, and then we can narrow it down from there.
I can do before 10, and I can do from 11 to 3.
I can do before 10:30.
Okay.
I'm available before 11 or after 2:30 that day.
I'm available that morning, but not at all in the afternoon.
Okay, let's kind of focus in on the morning. Thanks, Vanessa. Simon, what is your availability looking like before 10 a.m. that day?
I am free before up to 11. And then I'm also free 1 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay. And then I think it is.
That was everybody. That was
I didn't hear Shannon.
Oh, Shannon.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Shannon, what
that
is your? Oh, that works. Okay. So let's go ahead and put, if you guys don't mind, a hold for 2 hours on your calendars, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So I can propose, I guess, 3 different options to folks if it was going to be 8 to 9, 8:30 to 9:30, or 9 to 10. So a 2-hour hold, Tuesday the 18th, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's try to get one more spot here. Is anyone by chance available I would say before noon on Thursday the 20th?
Yes.
Before
Okay.
10, before 9:30, 9:45.
Okay, so maybe like an 8 to 9 a.m. Is
Or
anyone
even 8 to 9:30.
Is anyone available? Oh,
For
sorry.
me, this is Vanessa. I leave on Wednesday for like 2 weeks, so
Okay.
I'm gonna be out of the count after Wednesday, the 19th. or the
Okay.
18th. Yeah. Tuesday.
I'm free whenever you want, Thursday until 3:30.
I'm available all day.
Shannon, what would 8 to 9 a.m. look like for you on Thursday the 20th?
Yeah, I have a meeting starting at 9, so 8
Okay.
to 9 is open. Mhm.
So, without Vanessa being there, we would need, 2 more people to join. But I think again, it's worth a hold. So let's do a hold for 8 to 9 a.m. on Thursday, the 20th. Okay, so just to reiterate, we've got a hold where we would need 2 people to join on Monday, the 17th from 10 to 11 a.m. Then we've got a 2-hour hold for some hour, hopefully in there, on Tuesday, the 18th, where everyone on this call could make it, and we would only need 1 more person for quorum, but we'll take all who we can get. And then on Thursday, the 20th, an 8 to 9 a.m. hold, where we would need 2 additional members, since we couldn't all make it on this call. That seems pretty good. Do we want to look at Friday, just for kicks?
Might as well.
Okay. For Friday, June 21st, that 8 to 9 a.m. spot is open, as well as for me, anything after 12 p.m.
Simon, I can do 8 to 9, and then I can do sort of 1 p.m. onwards.
I am the same.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 to 9, and then I'm free. Oh, and then 1 to what? 1 to.
1 to whenever.
Okay, yeah, I can do 1 to 3.
1 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that as well.
Okay.
Is that true? What the heck? There's something happening on that day.
Elaine, we can hear you thinking.
I know, but the 21st, there is something happening on that day. I just don't see it on here. What is it? That's
Maybe a solstice celebration.
no, it should be a solstice celebration, but it is something different. It's actually, yeah, I might be out on, I just can't remember what it is. I might be more questionable on the Friday times.
Okay. Let's see, Vanessa and Shannon, what is 8 to 9 a.m. and 1 to 3 p.m. chunks looking for you guys on Friday the 21st?
I'm gonna still be out of town. This is Vanessa.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vanessa, you said that. I apologize.
No worries.
And I'm free from 8 to 9.
Gosh, what am I doing?
So, I would say let's go ahead and schedule a hold for 8 to 9 a.m. on Friday the 21st. I think the afternoon ones sound a little bit less promising from even this group. So one last hold, 8 to 9 a.m. on Friday the 21st, please.
And what was the one on Thursday again? I think it was at the 8 to 9:30 on Thursday.
Just 8 to 9.
Just 8 to 9, okay.
8 to 9, Thursday the 20th, 8 to 10 a.m., Tuesday the 18th, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., Monday the 17th.
Okay.
Right. Well, for you 6, again, thank you for being here today. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry that we are not able to get to, the point of this meeting. But I am hopeful that we'll be able to get something scheduled for the week of the 17th. We'll be taking the next hour to do more outreach and hopefully get something on the books as soon as possible. Because you all have provided your availability, I won't be including you in those outreach emails, but when something is set, you will be receiving a calendar invite. So save your happy dances for that moment. Are there any questions?
I'll just let you know if I find out what the thing on the 21st is, because if Vanessa and I are out, both of us, and there's more people drop off that, it might not be a good date to offer. So I'll just let you know as soon as I can figure it out.
Casey, just to, I get a question, you don't have to answer it now, but I'd like to know, maybe at the next meeting or something, but given that the existing programs budget requests were under the 3 million, which is nice because it gives us the grant, this committee,
Yeah,
you know,
makes it
hopefully
easy.
some flexibility, as it were, and don't have to make hard decisions. And there was pretty short turnaround for that budget process, even though it was relatively simple. But you know, I know programs are evolving and things. Would there possibly be an opportunity for them to put in a revised, you know, a bit like last time when we did it, they put in an initial budget, they were awarded, and then we issued a round of additional grant funds for anything they forgot about or something small they wanted to add in. Yeah, I guess that would be my question.
Yeah. No, great question, Simon. In government granting world, we call that a supplemental round. And that was definitely a consideration that I would propose for your all's feedback.
Great.
And
Awesome.
yeah, so I think I don't have it right in front of me, but it's definitely around 1.3 million that remains instead of the 1 million that you all were expecting. And so that would be something that we would definitely be seeking your input on, regarding, you know, if there would be supplemental funding available, what that process might look like, maybe what specific things you might recommend that the commission, you know, look for or really hone in on.
Yep.
And I would say it's a possibility. And then, you know, considering for the 6th or 9-month of planning grants, the grant advisory committee had decided back in April that would be at least 1 million going towards those. But I'm sure there could be further discussion. Should we want to adjust priorities, or maybe it would be 1.3 million up for grabs for everybody, maybe new folks for planning purposes, existing folks for capacity building purposes. So yeah, and I guess noodle on that a bit in the next 2 weeks, and come prepared next time to provide some feedback that we can then bring to the commission for their funding decision of what to do exactly with those funds. And then the CJC team can be hard at work to develop and put that plan, whatever you guys decide and what the commission authorizes, into action.
I have yes, one of the things I can't tell by looking at the budgets, I would have had a question about some specifics, but generally speaking, do we have, I think this is the same topic that came up the first round, and that is, do we have a way to know, for example, if a program is asking for a certain amount of funding, whether that is really kind of 100% of their budget, or whether they have other sustaining supports besides just this funding? So, for example, will we be able to tell if somebody's very existence is completely dependent on this funding, or if there are other things in place for those organizations that support them beyond the life of this grant or this specific funding? So
so you're right, that was something that we asked for the original applications back in, what was that, 2021, 2022, of sustainability funding, other funding in kind, or other funding streams coming in, what their kind of budgeting big picture looked like. However, that was not something that we asked them to provide as part of this gap funding application exercise, clearly due to just time. We wanted them to click a yes or no button of yes, are you interested, and tell us how much you need. If you want us to, I could send out a couple of emails. There's 7 grantees, and I'm sure that 7 emails isn't gonna take up too much time or drama, with maybe just a general inquiry of, hey, are you able to share if you have any other funding to support your restorative justice program at this time, to then maybe have a better picture to kind of report back to you all on the week of the 17th.
Well, I don't know if anybody else feels the same way I do. It would almost be more simple than that. It would almost be, what's your full organization or program budget compared to what you're asking for? You know,
Okay.
I mean, it's more just a percentage. Is this 75% of your budget, or is it 90% of your budget, or is it 20% of your budget? And I don't know if that's a reasonable, I mean, if that's a reasonable thing for us to ask, whether other people have any sense of contingency in knowing that. Would it affect our decision? Because if it wouldn't, I don't want to put more stress on these these programs. It was more the degree to which it might influence either the expression of concern or request or the funding of specific amounts of a budget. So if it doesn't affect that, maybe it's just one more thing we don't want to ask. But I was just noticing some of them I had that question about.
Yeah, I would say that it because you have ample funding right now, 3 million to just give them what they asked for. I would say it's not critical to this particular gap funding exercise. However, we could absolutely build it in to the 1.3 million of remaining funding to have it be a requirement of that potential supplemental funding round or the new, planning grants. um, I I definitely want to acknowledge that grantee burden is a thing. A lot of these are very small organizations. Answering, another question and crunching the numbers to figure out the percentages. It may not be worth the ask at this moment. But I'd be curious if any other advisory committee members have thoughts.
I like the question, but I also agree with you, Casey. I think if it was a more competitive grant, I might be curious to know, but at this stage, I don't think it would have any impact on my decisions.
Okay.
I'm the same as Tristan.
Okay.
I agree.
Yes, ditto.
Okay, so maybe we just kind of dog ear it for, again, kind of a check-in. Should a supplemental funding round exist, we get to get a fuller picture at that time. Or, should the in what capacity these planning grants come to be, to ask about those percentages of operation. But yeah, I appreciate you bringing it to our attention, Elaine. Tristan.
That'll
Yeah.
be me.
Yeah, I have a question about, I don't believe that we have created a timeline for the planning grant applications, and was just curious if you could give any kind of sense of, when the new grantees or grant applicants might see an application.
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing about planning grants is it does trigger a critical event for tribes. And so we would need to take into consideration the necessary time to offer consultation opportunities to Oregon's 9 federally recognized tribal governments, to totally inform them about the new availability of funding. And that process is there's no specific that'll take 30 days. So I'm not sure exactly how long would be needed, but should it be a 6-month planning grant, that would be January 1st to June 30th of 2025. So I would imagine the entire application process, decisions, your recommendations, the commission's authorization, all of that could be tied up in a bow neatly before.
It looks like Amanda just joined.
Oh, okay.
Simon.
Welcome, Jimena.
Sorry.
All right. Avery, can I get a quorum update?
So you have 7. There was one member that needed to leave at 2. So if that still stands, then we will only have quorum for 3 minutes. So I don't know if that member is able to stay on or not.
We could always check in with Jimena to see what dates we held that
Sure.
work.
Okay.
Or talk really fast to get this decision done in 3 minutes. How do you feel about that, Simon?
I said I can't see a decision being made in 3 minutes.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not feasible. So Let's see. Jimenez, we met, unfortunately, we did not achieve quorum until right now. And so we met to discuss potential meeting times. And what we have come up with for holds on every member's calendar here. If you could just give us a yay or a nay in terms of your availability for Monday, June 17th from 10 to 11 a.m. Okay, I got to see a nod. We'll keep that one. And then Tuesday, June 18th for just 1 hour between the hours of 8 and 10 a.m. So whether that be 8 to 9, 8:30 to 9:30, or 9 to 10, whatever works best for you. Do you have any availability during that window?
Only 8 to 9.
8 to 9. Okay. Right. And then let's see. On Thursday, June 20th, from 8 to 9 a.m. Yes, okay.
Yes.
And Friday, June 21st from 8 to 9 a.m.
Yes.
Okay. So members that were on before, it would just be one adjustment of shortening that window on Tuesday, June 18th, from that 2-hour window to specifically 8 to 9 a.m. That would mean that every date, especially that Monday one, we would have 7 folks who have committed to going at that time. And I know we do have quorum right now. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but maybe we could just go around, and if you are able to stay until 3 o'clock today, could you just say yes? Let's do so. I guess I'll just do Hollywood Squares here. So Tristan Edwards, could you stay until 3 o'clock today?
Yes.
Okay. Simon Fulford, could you stay until 3 o'clock today?
I can.
Okay. Kathleen Meehan Coop, same question to
Yes.
you. Elaine Walters, could you stay until 3 o'clock today? So sorry, I couldn't hear you.
2:45.
2:45. Okay. Jimena, could you stay until 2:45 today?
Yes.
Okay, I'm counting 5. Let's see, Shannon Wilson, are you able to stay until 2:45 today?
No,
Okay, no problem.
sorry.
Nope, that's okay. So let us go ahead and officially schedule Monday, the 17th of June from 10 to 11 a.m. Have that kind of be the invite that we'll send out directly after we log off here. So please kind of commit that to your calendars, 10 to 11 a.m. Monday the 17th for a fast and furious review of gap funding applications.
That was the one, and I just want to be clear, that was one, this is Shannon, that was the one I'm not available for,
Oh.
is the Monday date. The one I was available for was the starting on Tuesday,
All
the
right.
8 to 9s. And so I just want to make sure that I was not being counted on that Monday.
No,
date.
I appreciate that, Shannon.
Okay, thank
Let's
you.
just amend that to be Tuesday, the 18th, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. For 7 members to be present. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Shannon. So final Tuesday, June 18th, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Be there or be square.
Just to be super clear, do you want us to release those other holds, or do you want us to hold them in case something else? I don't know. I'm just.
Yep, that's a. I know Vanessa kind of had limited availability from the 19th on. There are 7 of you here who say you can make it to 8 to 9. So, which was the case for today. So we'll just try
That's
to
my worry.
do some outreach. Why doesn't everyone also hold that Monday 10 to 11 a.m. spot? And we'll send out outreach for that. But in the meantime, we will be scheduling a meeting for that Tuesday, June 18th, 8 to 9 a.m.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Hopefully
did.
we pick up a few more people that can come at that time too. So if there's something that happens to any one of us, that we've got it. So
I hope so.
we are so ready though, aren't we? Bring your coffee.
Yeah, 8 a.m. Yay. That'd be great.
All right.
All right, then.
Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions or notes from the Grant Advisory Committee? All right. Well, it was lovely seeing you all. Again, we really appreciate you showing up and being here to participate. And I look forward to getting some decisions made, hopefully in just a week or two.
Thank you.
Thank you, Casey.
Yeah.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.